Here's a story of two resignations. One that has dignity and humility, and the other marked by an unsettling indifference to the trust betrayed. You have to work out which one is which, I suppose. Justin Trudeau, Canada's longest-serving G7 leader, stepped down as Prime Minister after a decade in office, acknowledging the collapse of his Liberal Party's popularity, internal dissent, and his announcement followed a dinner with his children, an intimate, poignant moment that encapsulates his humanity. And Trudeau admitted he could no longer lead effectively in the middle of the internal strife, an honest acknowledgement rare in politics. And his approval ratings may have plummeted to 22%, but his departure exuded grace, humility, and a profound understanding of leadership's burdens. And even his opponents, like Pierre Poilievre, couldn't overshadow Trudeau's willingness to face the consequences of political fatigue with a sense of duty. But his proroguing of Parliament, a calculated manoeuvre to avoid immediate political fallout, adds a layer of complexity, and while his exit speech was heartfelt, his decision invites questions about his commitment to democracy. But in his resignation, Trudeau left Canadians with a parting image of a leader who loved his country, albeit a leader who is flawed and weary, and contrasts this to Justins Welby, the Archbishop of Canterbury, who departed as head of the Anglican Church today, or who departs as head of the Anglican Church today, after damning revelations of his moral failure in handling the John Smith scandal. And instead of quiet repentance, Welby's exit was a bizarre spectacle of grandeur at Lambeth Palace, a Eucharist lunch, afternoon tea, and intimate dinner celebrating his tenure while victims of abuse await overdue justice. Critics have lambasted Welby's apparent insensitivity, also demonstrated in the House of Lords a few weeks ago, accusing him of prioritising legacy over accountability, and survivors have questioned whether they were invited to the festivities, a poignant reminder of the Church's failure to centre victims in its response. Welby's inability to go quietly, coupled with tone-deaf jokes in the final Lord's speech, left a bitter aftertaste, or leaves a bitter aftertaste, because it's still ongoing. His symbolic laying down of his crozier is a mockery of the trust that he already dropped long ago. Trudeau's resignation, in contrast, was a lesson in dignity and the inevitability of change, while Welby's exit highlights how not to handle leadership legacy tarnished by scandal. One embraced sorrow and responsibility, the other clung to ceremonial self-indulgence. Leadership isn't just about power, it's about stewardship. Trudeau reminds us that admitting one's limits is an act of service. And Welby, in contrast, leaves us pondering whether a legacy built on broken trust is worth celebrating at all.